Maybe it makes it look like it's bigger. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, friends. Happy New Year if I haven't seen you yet in the new year. Welcome to our first resident town hall meeting of this year. And we're having a heat wave today, so that is good news. Up to 45 degrees, but keep your coats on for sure. So welcome everyone. We'll go ahead and get started with our meeting, and I'll invite Steve Bray to come up and give us our prayer this afternoon.
Let us pray. Loving God, you call us into relationship with one another, and we answer that call as we create communities of mutual care and support. We thank you for this community we call Covenant Woods, and for the many ways it serves our needs in our golden years. We ask your blessing today on this town hall meeting. Give us listening ears and open minds as together we seek to discern and meet the emerging needs of Covenant Woods. May a spirit of collegiality inspire all that we do and say. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Steve. So we had an option of two Steves today to offer prayer. The other Steve is in a warmer climate somewhere, and I guess Mr. Bragg drew the short straw to stay with us, but we're glad you're here. So has anyone joined our community since the last quarter, so the last meeting? Do we have any new residents who've joined us since October? I see a few up front. Could you raise your hands? A few. So welcome. And hopefully those of you who have not met our new residents will have an opportunity to do so and just engage with them and welcome them to the family. So we'll go ahead with our community updates first. Pat Thompson is going to speak to us, and then we'll get into our department updates.
Well, thank you. I just want to mention for those who might not know, we're having the annual Resident Association meeting on February the 9th here in the Commons at 2 o'clock, and that's a Friday. The Resident Association is made up of everyone who lives in independent living. And there'll be an agenda on the Katie, but just to give you an update, a heads up on what we're going to do, the first thing we'll do is we'll ask you to review some amendments we'd like to make to the bylaws. These amendments were passed by resident council, but in order to become law, they have to be also passed by the resident association. So we'll do that first, and then we'll have the election of the slate of candidates for resident council, and then the chairs of the various committees will come up and give an annual report on what their committee has been doing the past year. So we've got a lot to do, and it'll be very informative. And in order to do business, we have to have a quorum. So we figured out that the quorum is 58 people. So please come and help fill up the quorum. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. You know, council meetings and association meetings are always a good time, so please come. All right. I mean that sincerely. It's a great association. All right. So we'll begin with some of my updates. I'd like to begin with our strategic plan updates for the past quarter. So under People First, which is where we start, we did talk a little bit about board education, and we have been committed to that every meeting. Well, except for the last one. We had a lot to talk about. So Lori's coming this Wednesday to talk to our board about the role of philanthropy and the role of the board. So that will be the next upcoming education for the board. The second metric that we measured this past quarter was on the staff surveys, the engagement surveys, and we're looking for 85% or greater in overall satisfaction and recommending Covenant Woods to others, and I'm happy to say that we achieved that and exceeded that. So we achieved 86% overall satisfaction by staff, and 92% would recommend Covenant Woods as a great place to work. We also measured the annual scores for the resident engagement surveys in which you all participated, And here again, we're looking for 85% or greater. So overall, we achieved 88% in terms of satisfaction, and 91% would recommend Covenant Woods as a great place to live. So thank you all who participated. Those are some amazing results, certainly exceeded our goal and expectations. The other metric that we look at, which I didn't measure this time, I'd like to have some percentages in the future, was increasing volunteer resources from the community. And I know that happened because we saw a lot of volunteers come through the Resident Services Engagement Specialist, Diane. And we've seen them all over our community serving in different ways. So I'm happy to say that we are achieving that, and we'll try to measure that the next time around. Under successful aging, this is something that we'll talk a little bit more about. In terms of the CMS Medicare 5-star rating, we're trying to achieve overall 3 to 5. That was the metric, and while we are achieving that, we have a 4 this time around. We know we're super focused on the long-term stay, which has gone from a 2 to a 1. And we have a subgroup of residents and our medical staff who are working on this, and we'll hear more updates around that in the near future. Financial management, occupancy, we're looking for 95% or more in independent living. We're still short of that, 92% in that last quarter, and 86% out of 87% in the health center. But those do fluctuate, and we're always focused on census overall. And community outreach, most of the community organizations that we partner with are similar, but we did have in the last quarter Christmas Mother, so we participated in that program as well. A little more under successful aging. We've been talking a lot about mass communication for emergencies. In the past years, we kind of measured this metric, and I'm happy to say that we have identified a communication system, but there's more work to do around that. And Tim will speak a little bit more to that at the end under his section. As far as updating apartments, common spaces, that sort of thing for current and future resident functional needs, we're working on the master plan right now. And that is helping to identify the spaces in which we engage. So we're still working on the master plan. You'll hear more about that in the future. And Covenant Woods will establish a robust clinic and access to health and wellness services. And in that quarter, we did add a new podiatry service for all. So overall, of the 25 metrics that we set out to do 2 years ago now, we have achieved 18 of them. We have more to be measured by the end of this fiscal quarter. And there are a few that we're just going to drop off because we no longer have advanced care. And that was part of our financial metrics that we had. So we'll be revisiting the strategic plan this year so we can develop more of a 5-year plan that has more of an outlook, a longer term, with different metrics that we'll continue to measure. But the strategic focus areas are probably not going to change. I think we were pretty resolute as a community to focus on those 4 areas that we've talked about. And so those will remain the same, but the indicators and the metrics will probably change. So we'll invite you to that conversation as they begin to happen. This year, we've set out 12 different goals. I won't read them all to you right now. In the slide deck, you're going to see other goals from the operations teams. And we're trying to really set the course for either carrying over some of the initiatives from last year to make sure they're followed through on and complete, and then also looking ahead in ways that we can achieve certain aspects of operational and organizational health and well-being. So I'll let those stand on their own. There's a lot there, and there's even more to come in the next few slides. Again, I put some in bold just to highlight the fact that those are really geared towards residents. Some are geared towards the business overall, which of course will impact residents, but the ones that are in bold that you'll see are really geared more towards response time to residents or engaging residents in programs, life safety, and some other things you're going to hear about today, so I won't take up much time with those at the moment. But the team did a really great job. Each department, each manager, and their directors came together to articulate some goals that they have for this year, and we think that's really important for us to keep track of and keep each other accountable to. So we'll report out on some of these as they come to fruition. And with that, I'll turn it over to Eric for his update.
Good afternoon, everybody. So give you all an update through the third quarter, which ended December 31st for the 2024 fiscal year. This didn't get updated.
It didn't copy over.
Okay.
I had computer problems this morning. I don't think I have it correct.
All right. That's all right. So, well, to give you all an overall update from memory, we are continuing to do well, tracking towards making all of our covenants for this fiscal year. We ended December somewhere right around a 2 times debt service coverage. That is compared to a 1.2 times minimum that is required. So we are still tracking above the requirement there, which is good. We ended somewhere around 275 days cash on hand compared to the 150 days cash on hand that is required by the covenant. So we are doing good on that as well. So we are expecting it to make covenants for this fiscal year, so that will not be a problem for us. We are lagging in overall revenues, and we are over on expenses, which makes us shy on our operating margin year-to-date compared to budget by approximately $1.1 million. I believe it could be a little bit more than that. Over $1 million, I know that. And census-wise, we are on basically right at census levels, budgeted census levels for independent living, as well as overall for health and wellness. As Tom had mentioned, those census numbers can change more dramatically than independent living with movement of residents. So, but overall, looking at assisted living, memory support, and nursing care, all combined when compared to budget, we're operating pretty much right at budget on those areas as well. And that is all that I can remember. So I apologize for not having the actual numbers to you. But the actual results are going to be posted to Katie later this month. I have not posted it for the investors yet, but we should have that out sometime later this week. So I'm thinking about next week, we should have it up on Katie for you. So if there are any questions regarding that, I will be happy to talk with any of you about that. Any questions for me? Yes. When will the tax letters come out? Ah, good one. Yes. Tax letters will be out, are due to be out by next Tuesday. Any other questions for me? No? Okay. Thank you for not testing my memory anymore.
Sorry about that. I'll include Eric's official slide with the Katie posting that'll happen later today. Now I'd like to invite Carrie and friends. There's a whole team behind you.
It is. Well, good afternoon. Yes, thought it would be more interesting for you today to have some new faces to come up and share with you. So I did want to make sure that you knew who our infection control preventionist team was. And Darshelle Anderson is with us today, and she's going to come up and speak for just a moment and give you a hello as to who she is and a couple of quick reminders.
Hello, everyone. I'm Darshelle Anderson. I am the infection control nurse here at Covenant Woods. I've been at Covenant Woods for 5 years. I'm transitioning from LPN to RN. And as a reminder, in Manor East, visitors do not have to wear masks. They're optional. And then staff is going to wear masks until February 1st. Any questions? All righty.
Thank you, Darshelle. It's always great when we can have everyone see who's who. I also wanted to share with everyone that starting the new year, we have expanded or are in the process of expanding some of our services on campus. We now have Ellie Mental Health available to provide services to residents within their own home. So if you have any interest or desire to speak with someone, we can help make those arrangements. You can talk to your immediate healthcare provider. You can speak with At Home Harmony. You can speak with our resident liaison or our independent living resource nurse. And we'd be happy to help arrange for that referral if you are interested. In addition, we have a new dentist who will be joining the team later in February. Dr. Stoner is going to be on campus on a regular basis. Right now, many of you have been aware of Dr. Park, and she will still continue to be on campus providing services. Dr. Stoner will offer another opportunity for residents who may be interested in cleanings, evaluations, and other type of oral care. So please be looking for information regarding Dr. Stoner coming out later in February. And then today, I also want to do an introduction. We have Sonia Almond with us today from At Home Harmony, and she's going to share with us just a moment, hopefully a little bit about herself, but more importantly, how you can get in touch with her and what services will be available with At Home Harmony here on Covenant Woods campus. So Sonia.
Good afternoon. There you go. Yes, my name is Sonia Almond, but it's Sonia Almond only for just maybe another month. My new name is Sonia Jackson. I just got married. But I'm really, really pleased and was actually delighted when I was informed of this opportunity to speak to you. So as a provider with At Home Harmony, I will now be available on Thursdays. You could call and schedule an appointment and you will see me. But I just want to, before we go a little deeper, I want to be like all of you when I grow up. I am not that far from it right now with all this gray in my hair, but I've worked with different patients at Covenant Woods for many years, as I used to work with Dispatch Help. How many of you are familiar with that? Yes, so I have been with At Home Harmony now for going on a year. I am one of actually the second oldest provider there. And I think we now have, Kelly, eight providers. So we are growing rapidly. I live in the Mechanicsville area, so I am your neighbor. And I do have a vested interest, so I was really delighted to be able to come and provide care for those who need any type of care. So we pretty much will provide any kind of primary care in the clinic. There is an opportunity for me to come and see you in the home as well if need be. Kelly is our salesperson, and she's standing. She's in the back, and she's waving to you right now. Everybody turn around and wave. So you can have a few minutes with her after the meeting is done. My background consists of mainly cardiac. I've grown up as a cardiac nurse for a number of years, and I've been practicing as a provider for years. So please, 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 I would love to help anybody who needs help. Just call and schedule, and we'll see what we can do to keep you bowling, playing chess, playing checkers, going swimming, all of that. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Any questions, comments, concerns? We need some caffeine. But it's nice. I look forward to meeting you. Take care.
Thank you, Sonia, and thank you, Darshal. That is the main announcements that I had for today. Just real quick opportunity if there were questions about any services that we did not address. Yes, ma'am.
Any plans to
So the question is in regards to COVID vaccination. We did offer COVID vaccination not too long ago, and residents at any point in time who are interested in receiving another COVID vaccine are encouraged to contact the independent living resource nurse and let her know that you are interested. If we have great enough interest, we will coordinate another opportunity on campus. If we don't have a significant interest, we will help individuals to receive that vaccine locally. Great question. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Gary. And now I'd like to welcome Erin.
Good afternoon. So I'll just follow Eric a little bit with a revenue update. He did say we were a little behind for December, but as you all know, not many people move in November and December. But for this next quarter, so January, February, and March, we actually have 5 move-ins to close out the end of the fiscal year. So for right this minute, we've had a total of 22 move-ins for the fiscal year. And that's 33 new residents. So you have a lot of new faces this year. It's really great. But for April, we already have what I said on Friday to Tom when we prepared this was that we had 5, sorry, I didn't give you my slide, 5 move-ins scheduled for April. As of today, that is up to 7. So just in April alone, we have 7 move-ins happening. So we will be very busy in our office. I told my staff there would be no vacations. What else? So I've had some questions recently about the Bradford cottage at the end of the road. Tim and I are working with a builder. We're trying to secure some pricing to get that going. So hopefully by late spring, we should have something moving along down there. So we'll keep you posted. Also, the newly formed decor committee has been working with our designer to continue the artwork and furniture project that we started in the manor. So they've selected some things to be installed in the manor hallways. So all 9 hallways, which is H, I, and J on all 3 floors, starting in March. So I will keep you informed via the communique on that project. And then lastly, we have a new marketing staff member. Some of you maybe have met her. Her name is Cindy. So she officially took Katie Yates's job. It just took several months to find somebody, but her role will be very critical in the coming months, as most of you know that Logan is going out on maternity leave probably any day. So Cindy will heavily be supporting Lauren during that time. And just as usual, a thank you to the new resident committee for all they do for the new residents and orienting everybody to the campus. And if you have any interest in dining with new residents or prospects or showing people around, just let us know. We'll take all the help we can get. Any questions for me? Yes, sir. Right this minute, I'd have to tell you by area. So we have no cottages available, but 1 vacant. It is sold. We just have 1 apartment available in Manor West, and we have 4 unspoken for in the lodge, but 4 reserved in the lodge. And we actually sold 2 of the 1 bedrooms that we renovated last year. So that's very exciting. But I can certainly send you an email with exact numbers. It changes very frequently. So, anyone else? Okay, thank you. Thank you.
It's Tim, everybody.
Good afternoon, everyone. What I wanted to do is bring up 2 items, as Tom mentioned in the strategic plan, looking at overall. When I first came in, we started to really look at some of the items for the emergency preparedness plan, emergency preparedness for Manor East, but also for independent living. There's been 2 items that I've been working on. I know that everyone has seen or heard the tornado drills that we've done and added that as an item onto the fire panels, but also added some protocol along with our folks for tornado drills in Manor East. No folks have brought up about having fire drills. Fire drills will be one of the things that you will start to hear and see in the very near future, and it will only make sense for us to do them once a quarter for everyone. So around the time frames that we're looking at the town halls, we'll send out reminders to folks, but not do them in a sense that you will be driven outside in the cold and rain every time we have a fire drill. They will serve as 2 purposes. One is that we will go through different wings at different times during the year, so only a specific wing or 2 would be targeted in any quarter. So the reason we're doing that is because if there were an emergency, it would be specific to an area of the building. It would not be typically the entire building. And it's going to help us to do 2 things. One is that we want you to get used to hearing us give instruction over the PA system, and it will also help our folks be able to respond and know what their duties are during an emergency situation. Are we going to be asking people to move? At certain points we will, but it would be more specific to a wing that you're in or 2 wings at the time. And I'll send out updates and do some other projections as to how they will work before the next quarter, and we'll start those next quarter. With the active shooter security incidents, there's something extremely important that I'm working on. It is to get the ability to broadcast at a single time if there were an event on campus. We can never say that it's an active shooter, but we don't know that. There might be another incident that happens on campus we want everyone to know about and everyone to react to. I have some verbiage that will be added to the fire panels, just like the verbiage for the tornadoes. And we'll set up a protocol that we will ask you to follow if those alarms go off. In the very near future after that, once we get those put in place, this is all prep for us to be able to, at a single point in time, single place, be able to activate the entire campus. We're also looking at a way to lock down the remainder of the doors that are unlocked during the day. So we should be able to initiate the alarm, lock down all the doors, and expect you to respond according to some of the protocol. As up to where we are now, I know that some of you have been in the seminars we've set up for active shooter, and it's always been the run, hide, fight type mentality. But when you are sitting in an area like this, and that alarm were to go off, or you were in traditions, or you were in fireside, and those alarms go off, then what do you do? So we'll set up some protocol for you. We'll make certain that that gets out, and we'll prepare for it. And then in the next coming months, hopefully that portion of it will be in place, and we can start those drills as well. Is there any questions? Thank you, everyone. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I was going to jump the gun. You are absolutely correct. The question was about having humidifiers in the systems at Manor East. There are 3 main systems in Manor East, and I have gotten to a point of being able to kick that off. They would be done, the 3 systems, individually per year because of the cost associated with that. We are up into 6 figures at about $140 a unit to be able to do that. It's very complicated for them to go back, retrofit the humidifiers but it would be basically per wing. And I do have that in place. We reallocated some of the funding for that this year, so it didn't get started this year, but it is on the agenda for the capital next year. So we should be able to get that started. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That is the last update that I had, is hopefully they're coming in tomorrow and get it cleaned up and the rest of it goes away and it should work out well. But thank you very much. Any more questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Tim. All right, now I'd like to invite Sarah to come up. She has a brief announcement. But take as much time as you need.
Hi, everybody. Ooh, this is definitely the largest crowd I've ever spoken to, so bear with me. So Covenant Woods is starting a new initiative to ensure we receive annual updates on residents who reside in independent living. Beginning on February 1st, apartments D and E and Stewart Home Drive Cottage, the cottage, will have the documents placed in their in-house mailbox for residents to complete so Covenant Woods can update resident records. There will be information each month in Connections, and you can also check the Thursday communique. I will also be putting something out on your Katie device when it is your month for your paperwork to be updated. And then the documents that I have listed on the sheet are the authorization to use and disclose health information, resident information sheet. This would be like your VIP pack. We would like you to update your power of attorney if you need to, of course. Concierge contact preference form, pet approval form, weapons documentation, Sarah morning check-in calls, and resident vehicle registration. Do we have any questions? None? Oh, wow, okay. Well, thank you.
Nicely done, nicely done. It's a friendly crowd, always. And last today, Miss Emily Endert.
Good afternoon. How many times have you heard that today? First, I wanted to thank you all for your generosity for the Christmas gifts to employees. It really makes a difference for them. And then I wanted to let you know how we appreciate our employees. I often get questions about what are we doing for our team. We have annual service recognition that's coming up in a couple of weeks, actually, where we recognize 3, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Yes, we have some people who have been here 25 years, even though we've only been on this site for 21 years, 22 years. Anyway, during that event, we change it up every year, but we recently have been including photographs and short bios of the employees that are celebrating those years. And then we also leave them up outside the multipurpose room so that you all can see who's being celebrated this year. In addition to that, as part of the service recognition, when somebody retires and they have a certain number of years at Covenant Woods, we also give them a financial reward upon their retirement. The next thing we do is our annual picnic luncheon, and it changes design every year as well. We typically follow a theme, and there'll be food and games and fun activities during that event. And usually it's in this room because we have quite a number of employees who attend. Last year we had planned to have it outside and then the weather didn't cooperate, so we moved it in here and in the hallway out there. You probably saw us playing golf in the hallway. We also have 12 days of holiday cheer, and that means that we just do something for 12 days leading up to Christmas. It usually kicks off with the party that you give employees, and then we follow on to that. We'll have some sort of breakfast or lunch. We do ugly sweater day. You notice that people kind of are out of uniform often in the month of December. That's because we like to have a little fun. Then this year and last year too, we had karaoke. Holiday karaoke is so much fun for our staff, and I'm sure you heard a lot of singing and cheering when that was happening this year. We also play bingo. That's another favorite. We can't not do that one day. Then we have whatever the National Department Day is, and each independent department, individual department, celebrates their own team. And usually it's something like a luncheon, maybe a gift, and maybe some fun things throughout that week. We have Employee of the Quarter, and that is something that is nominated by their peers. And we have a nomination period where I think it goes about 2 weeks, and then they give the list of nominees to the directors to review, and the directors select from that group. And those who are acknowledged then receive some additional PTO time. So we're encouraging our folks to take some time off and focus on themselves a little bit. We also put their photo at the front desk, and we put it on ADP, which is our payroll system where employees can go and find out information about their paycheck as well as news that's happening within Covenant Woods employee events. And last but not least, we do pop-up carts throughout the year. Sometimes it might be a tailgate cart during football season. It might be hot chocolate. Last year we had food trucks, thanks to marketing, getting that going for us. So we do try to do fun things throughout the year to let our folks know that we appreciate them and to also just help keep them happy. And I think that's it for me today. Thank you.
This week is also National Activity Professional Week. So if you know any, and I think you do on our team, please congratulate them and thank them for all that they do. And just one more reminder for me, East and West Cottage tomorrow, we have our neighborhood meeting, first one of the year, at 2 o'clock in this room. So please join us. If you can't make it, there'll be minutes. And if you can't make that or read the minutes, then we'll have other opportunities throughout the year to join a different neighborhood meeting. So thank you very much. Any questions remaining for anyone around what you heard or what you didn't hear, maybe wanted to hear today?
Just wondered, maybe you intended to do this, but the 25 goals that you showed us,
Yes.
you flipped through those faster than we could read them. Can those be posted on Katie?
Yes, actually, all of this, including Eric's actual slide, will be posted to Katie this afternoon. Yep. Good question. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Awesome to see you. We'll see you next time.